Chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That restlessness in your spirit, the one that's been circling the same person in your mind all week, stop pushing it down. The enemy is working overtime right now for one reason, and one reason only. He knows what happens the moment you step toward that person. It all shifts this week. The confusion, the hesitation, the back and forth in your head about whether this person even deserves your time. But here is what you need to hear right now. This is not ending because of coincidence. It is ending because of what you have already done in private. Think back to that moment this week when you almost said something to that person and you stopped yourself. Maybe you pulled back because they seemed too far gone. Maybe you stayed quiet because their attitude made it feel like a waste. You did not know it then, but that restraint was not rejection. That restraint was preparation. You were being held back until the exact right moment, and that moment is now. You did not find this recording by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. The Holy Spirit did. This is a divine appointment scheduled before the foundations of the earth were laid. You are standing at a threshold, and the person you keep thinking about is standing on the other side of it. Stay until the very last second of this message, because in the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the spiritual verdict that reveals exactly why this person was placed in your path. I am going to walk you through the divine assignment audit so you can see where you have already been positioned without even knowing it. And, at the end, I am going to give you the declaration that seals your courage and sends you forward with authority. Do not click away. Your future self is begging you to stay, because if you leave now, you might walk past the very person God sent you to change. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere has been strange. Not loud, not chaotic, just heavy. Like something unresolved is sitting in the room with you everywhere you go. Maybe you have been replaying a conversation in your mind, or the image of someone's face keeps surfacing at the quietest moments of your day. Maybe you crossed paths with this person this week, and something in your chest tightened, and you told yourself it was nothing. Or maybe you woke up at 3:00 inches the morning, and without any reason, they were the first thought in your mind before you even reached for your phone. You feel like you are caught between something, between minding your own life and this unexplainable pull towards someone who, from the outside, does not look like they need you. Maybe they are guarded. Maybe they are difficult. Maybe they have even been the source of some of your frustration recently. Maybe they look fine on the surface, and nobody else in your circle is paying them any attention. And in this tension, the enemy has started whispering a very specific lie. Listen to your thoughts right now. He is telling you that this pull you feel is your own emotions, your own projection, your own need to fix something that is not your problem. He is replaying every moment that person was cold to you, ungrateful, or difficult. He is telling you that, if they wanted help, they would ask for it. He is telling you that you already tried, and it did not work. He is using your past experience to convince you to stand down right now, at the very moment your assignment is about to activate. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Esther 4:14 says, "Who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Listen to what that means. You were not placed next to this person by accident. You were not given awareness of their situation by accident. The fact that you keep circling back to them in your mind is not emotional noise. It is a divine signal. You have been positioned for this moment with the precision of a surgeon and the tenderness of a father who sees exactly what that person needs and has decided that you are the answer. The enemy knows that if you move toward this person, something in the spiritual atmosphere breaks open, not just for them, for you. The heaviness you have been carrying this week is not punishment. It is the weight of an assignment waiting for you to say yes. It is the pressure of a door that has already been unlocked, waiting for you to push it open. You think your hesitation was doubt. You think the times you pulled back were missed opportunities. But let me reframe your reality right now. That was not failure. That was timing. And the timing is now. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. If something stirred deep in your spirit just now, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide reveals the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your destiny. It also comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it during prayer, rest, or quiet moments with God. And for those called to speak His truth, you'll also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus ebook for those carrying a prophetic assignment. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now let's go deeper into what was just opened. The very fabric of your current experience may hold a divine code, a secret language from heaven. There is a person in your life right now who doesn't look like a mission. They don't arrive with a halo or a celestial glow announcing their sacred purpose. Instead, they look precisely like the opposite, a relentless problem, an unbearable burden that clings to you like a heavy cloak. They manifest as the one who seems to perpetually drain your energy, leaving you parched and weary. They are the constant source of frustration, the grit in the gears of your daily peace. They are the one who, no matter how much you pour out, no matter how much wisdom, love, or truth you offer, simply refuses to receive. Their hands seemingly closed against every good thing you extend. Every instinct of your flesh screams for release, for escape, for the blessed relief of walking away from this relentless weight. Every logical, rational voice in your head articulates a compelling argument. You've done enough. You've given more than your share. It's time to cut your losses and preserve your peace. But something deeper than mere habit, something far more ancient than the timeline of this particular relationship, holds you tethered. It's a quiet, persistent, almost stubborn pull that resonates from the core of your spirit. And let me tell you that something, that undeniable, magnetic draw that defies logic and comfort, is not weakness. It is not some unhealthy pattern of codependency. It is certainly not a spiritual flaw that you need to overcome. It is, in its purest, most potent form, assignment. It is a divine directive woven into the tapestry of your destiny. But here's what most people tragically miss, what the enemy fervently hopes you overlook. Assignment rarely, if ever, arrives wrapped in pristine clarity, adorned with ribbons of understanding and ease. No, often it makes its grand entrance shrouded in confusion, cloaked in profound pain, presenting itself in the guise of someone who, with every interaction, seems to make your life infinitely harder, more complicated, more draining, long before they ever become a source of meaning or divine purpose. This is a masterstroke of deception from the enemy. He understands this divine principle better than many believers. So, he works overtime, relentlessly, to meticulously craft your sacred mission into what appears to be your deepest misery. He wants you to equate challenge with condemnation, resistance with rejection, and struggle with failure. His strategic aim is for you to abandon your divinely appointed post prematurely, to walk off the battlefield before the first signs of the harvest appear. Because if you yield to the pressure and leave too soon, succumbing to the illusion of futility, you will never, ever get to witness, let alone partake in, the glorious fruit that God specifically placed you there to cultivate and produce. You will miss the transformation that was always destined to unfold. Consider the profound, almost unimaginable, narrative of the prophet Hosea. His story is a stark, powerful testament to this truth. God, in His sovereign wisdom and with a breathtaking display of covenant love, commanded Hosea to marry Gomer, a woman who would inevitably, repeatedly, and publicly betray him, sinking into a life of harlotry. This wasn't a sadistic whim from God. It wasn't because the Divine Father wished to inflict suffering for suffering's sake upon his faithful servant. No, the purpose was far grander, far more eternal. It was because, through that agonizing, relentless suffering, through the public shame, the heartache, the indignity of a love repeatedly scorned, Hosea would become more than just a prophet speaking words. He would become the living, breathing, walking embodiment of God's own relentless, unwavering, scandalous love for a people, Israel, who, much like Gomer, kept straying, kept walking away from their covenant vows into spiritual adultery. Hosea's pain was not a cosmic accident, a random stroke of misfortune. It was profoundly intentional. It was deeply prophetic. His divine assignment didn't wear the glamorous cloak of a celebrated minister. It wore the raw, bleeding face of heartbreak and public humiliation. And yet, through that crucible of personal agony, something eternal was indelibly written into the annals of sacred history, a testament to divine faithfulness that still echoes through the ages. If Hosea had succumbed to the natural urge to walk away when the pain became unbearable, and make no mistake, it did hurt, deeply and persistently. That powerful, living message of God's enduring love would have died, suffocated by the prophet's pursuit of personal comfort. The world would have been robbed of a profound revelation. You, too, are carrying something strikingly similar, a weight of purpose that often masks itself as hardship. And what's coming next will likely surprise you, because what I'm about to show you is not primarily about them, the person who seems to be your greatest challenge. It never was. The intricate design of this assignment, the deep spiritual work unfolding, is ultimately a testament to what God is doing times in times you. The first, and perhaps most challenging thing you need to profoundly understand, is this. The people God sovereignly assigns to us, the ones He intentionally threads into the fabric of our lives for a specific purpose, are rarely the people who will celebrate us with applause and accolades. They are not typically the ones who will affirm our every step or make our journey easy. On the contrary, they are often precisely the individuals who challenge the very core of who we are, who test the integrity of the thing God is painstakingly trying to build within us. Think of it like a master blacksmith forging a sword. It's not the gentle polish, but the intense heat, the relentless hammering, the sharp impact against the anvil that purifies the metal and strengthens the blade. Every single time you make the conscious, costly choice to exercise patience with this difficult person, even when every fiber of your being screams to react with frustration or anger, you are not merely enduring. You are being forged. You are being refined in the fires of divine character. Every time you choose, against all odds and discouraging evidence, to speak words of life, hope, and truth into someone who repeatedly chooses pathways of death, self-destruction, or despair, something profound within your own spirit is being deepened. A well of spiritual resilience is being dug within you. God is not simply using you as a conduit to change them. He is, with deliberate precision, using them as an instrument to complete you. The resistance they embody, the stubborn weight of their unresolved issues, is the very weight you are being supernaturally trained to lift. And let this truth sink deep. You cannot, under any circumstances, develop that kind of robust, enduring spiritual muscle in the soft, unchallenging environment of comfort. Growth demands tension, transformation requires resistance. But here's where this profound truth goes even deeper, touching the very questions of your soul. You have probably, in moments of raw vulnerability and utter exhaustion, cried out to God more than once, pleading to understand why this person relentlessly keeps showing up in your life's narrative. You've questioned why they seem so resistant to change, why your fervent prayers for them appear to simply bounce off an invisible wall, utterly ineffective. You've wondered why the very essence of what you've poured into them, your time, your energy, your love, your wisdom, seems to vanish into a void, yielding no discernible fruit. And in those moments, God has often remained quiet, a silence that felt less like peace and more like a profound abandonment, a divine dismissal of your plea. But let me assure you, that silence was never an absence. It was, in fact, a deeply personal, tailored instruction. He was watching, intently, what you would do when the immediate, tangible results didn't materialize quickly. He was testing the very foundation of your obedience. Was it conditional, dependent solely on the visible fruit of your labor, the applause of men, or the swift manifestation of change? Or were you truly trusting the seed of His word, the seed of your faithfulness, even when the ground before you looked barren, dead, and utterly incapable of yielding life? His silence was an invitation to a deeper trust, a faith that sees beyond the immediate and rests in the eternal. This brings us to a spiritual principle that most people, even within devout communities, instinctively avoid entirely. We have been subtly taught, by the prevailing culture of instant gratification, by certain well-meaning voices within the church, and sometimes even by our own human impatience, that fruitlessness is an undeniable sign to disengage, to abandon the endeavor. The conventional wisdom often dictates that if something isn't visibly working, if the harvest isn't immediate, then God must surely not be in it, and it's time to move on to greener pastures. But that axiom, though often appealing to our weary spirits, is not always true in the economy of heaven. Sometimes, often in fact, the very delay, the extended period of seeming unproductivity, is precisely the crucible of development. It is the necessary preparation for a greater work. Consider the dramatic narrative of Elijah on Mount Carmel, a breathtaking display of divine power. Before the fire of God descended with consuming glory, Elijah performed an act that, to every rational observer, would have looked like pure self-sabotage, an act of sheer madness. He poured not just once, not twice, but 3 times, a torrent of water, 12 jars full, representing the 12 tribes of Israel, over the altar, drenching the very wood and sacrifice he was about to command God to ignite. The trenches around the altar overflowed. To any human eye, this seemed utterly counterproductive, making the miracle infinitely harder, if not impossible. But Elijah knew something profound. He knew that when God finally moved, when his fire fell, it could not be questioned. It could not be dismissed as a natural phenomenon or a trick of light. The water wasn't an expression of doubt or a lack of faith. It was a deliberate, undeniable demonstration. It served to amplify the glory of God when the fire consumed not just the sacrifice, but also the wood, the stones, and even the water in the trench. And in a similar, profoundly spiritual way, your continued steadfast presence in a dry, seemingly fruitless season with a difficult, resistant person may be your own act of pouring water on the altar. It may be the very demonstration that makes the inevitable miracle, their eventual breakthrough, your own deepened character, God's ultimate triumph, so utterly undeniable when it finally comes, leaving no room for human explanation, only divine awe. Stay with me now, for what I'm about to share next is not merely insightful, it is the crucial part that breaks the cycle of endless frustration and propels you into understanding. This truth is the key that unlocks the door to enduring faithfully. Here is what nobody, or at least very few, will tell you about the intricate dynamics of divine assignment. The very person you have been sovereignly sent to, the one for whom you have poured out your heart and spirit, will often resist you the most fiercely, with an almost supernatural intensity, right before they are on the cusp of receiving you and the truth you carry. There is a profound spiritual principle deeply embedded within this pattern, a truth that echoes throughout the scriptures and the history of breakthrough. Every significant breakthrough, every powerful deliverance, Every monumental shift in the spiritual realm is almost invariably preceded by an intensification of resistance. The pressure doesn't gradually ease. It escalates dramatically just before the wall collapses, just before the dam breaks, just before the captive is set free. So, when this person in your life becomes even harder to reach, when their defenses seem to harden into an impenetrable fortress, when they pull away further into their shell, when the silence between you feels heavier and more suffocating than ever before, hear this clearly. That is not evidence that you have failed. That is not a sign that your efforts are futile and your mission is doomed. On the contrary, that is often compelling evidence that something monumental is about to break. The enemy, who understands divine timing and spiritual warfare intimately, always escalates his attacks and resistance when he knows, deep in his demonic core, that his time is rapidly running out. His desperate pushback is a telltale sign that God's breakthrough is imminent. If this person weren't spiritually important, if the divine assignment weren't profoundly real and potent, the resistance you are encountering wouldn't be so fierce, so relentless, so targeted. The intensity of the warfare surrounding a thing, the battles, the struggles, the opposition, always reveals the immense value and eternal significance of that very thing in the eyes of heaven. And this leads us to something vitally important, a foundational truth that has to land deep within your spirit before we can venture any further. You simply cannot, dear chosen one, walk effectively, sustainably, or powerfully in this divine assignment from an empty, depleted vessel. To attempt to do so is not martyrdom, it is spiritual suicide. One of the most insidious and dangerous things a chosen one, especially one carrying a weighty prophetic or intercessory assignment, can do is to incessantly pour and pour and pour out of their spirit without ever intentionally, consistently, and deliberately returning to the divine source to be refilled, replenished, and re-energized. Because eventually, if this rhythm of giving and receiving is broken, you will no longer be pouring from a place of blessed overflow, a reservoir of God's abundant grace. Instead, you will find yourself pouring from a place of utter depletion, scraping the bottom of an empty well. And depleted people cannot effectively carry divine assignments. They do not minister from the wellspring of life. Instead, they begin to carry a bitter, corrosive resentment that sours their spirit. They carry a bone-deep exhaustion that cripples their capacity. They carry a quiet, often unconscious, bitterness that they subtly, tragically, mistake for spiritual discernment, attributing their weariness to wisdom when it is merely a symptom of neglect. God never, not for a moment, intended for you to martyr yourself, to self-destruct, in the fulfillment of this sacred mission. He intended for you to be sustained times by times it, to be invigorated through your connection to Him even amidst the challenges. That means there must be a sacred, unnegotiable rhythm to your spiritual life. You give, you return to God, you receive His life and strength, and then you give again. It is a divine inhale and exhale. If you have not been faithfully returning to God in this demanding season, if the sheer weight and burden of this person or this assignment has subtly, slowly pulled you away from your own personal altar, away from your intimate prayer time, away from the life-giving word, then this very moment is your divine recalibration. This is your urgent call back to the source. Coming up next, brace yourself, for we are about to unveil a hidden truth, a profound insight about why this person was strategically placed in your path, not just by chance, but by divine design, long before your own purpose fully formed or even made sense to you. What I'm about to say will fundamentally reframe everything you thought you knew about this relationship and your role in it, because here is where the spiritual journey gets truly confrontational. where the light shines on the uncomfortable truths within. You have been diligently praying for this person, no doubt. You have been interceding fervently, believing wholeheartedly for their breakthrough, speaking words of life and hope over their situation, day after day. But in all that righteous effort, have you ever paused, truly paused, to humbly ask God what He is specifically trying to say to times you times through them? Not merely times about times them, but profoundly, piercingly times through times them. Because sometimes, in the intricate wisdom of God, the very person who carries the most entrenched resistance, who creates the most friction in your life, is providentially holding up a mirror, reflecting back to you the very thing in times your time's own soul that God is still lovingly, relentlessly working on. Their stubborn inability to receive unconditional love may be subtly, yet powerfully, revealing times your time's own, hidden inability to give it without unspoken conditions, without expectations of reciprocation. Their relentless stubbornness, their refusal to yield, may be inadvertently exposing a deeply rooted pride you didn't even realize you were carrying. That subtle, dangerous belief that if they would just listen to times your time's wisdom, adhere to times your time's counsel, everything would miraculously fall into place. Their spiritual blindness, their inability to see truth, may be confronting and highlighting times your time's own spiritual impatience, your desire for instant transformation instead of trusting God's timing and process. God is far too precise, far too intentional, and far too sovereign to waste a single painful relationship. Every friction point, every moment of tension, every frustrating interaction has a profound lesson meticulously embedded within it, tailor-made for your spiritual maturation. And the sooner you release the burden of solely looking at them as the problem and instead begin to ask, with genuine humility, God, what are you speaking to me times through times this problem? What is this relationship revealing about times my time's own heart? The faster, both of you, in God's perfect timing, will move forward into the fullness of His design. But let me challenge you with something even harder than that. A truth that demands even deeper introspection and surrender. What if this person, this challenging individual, is not simply your mission field, not just an assignment to pour into, but what if they are also, at a profound spiritual level, your most accurate mirror? What if the very thing that frustrates you most about them, the very trait that grates against your spirit, is actually reflecting back to you the shadow side of something times you, times yourself, have not yet fully acknowledged, fully surrendered, or fully integrated into your healed self? The person who irritates you beyond measure with their constant fear, their anxiety, their inability to step out in faith, may, in fact, be reflecting back the very fear you've skillfully spiritualized in your own life, calling it prudence, calling it wisdom, calling it careful discernment. The individual who stubbornly clings to the hurts and disappointments of the past, who cannot seem to let go of old narratives, may be unwittingly showing you the unhealed places in your own story, the spiritual anchors still holding times captive to what God has already declared, finished, and redeemed. This is not an accusation, dear one. It is a profound, sacred invitation. It is an invitation to deeper healing, to greater freedom. Because when you can look at the person who was initially designated as your burden, your problem, and authentically pray, God, in your infinite wisdom, what are you showing times me times in them? What part of times my time's heart, my time's unaddressed wound, my time's unhealed past, is being revealed through this interaction? That, my friend, is the precise moment you stop merely surviving the assignment, gritting your teeth through the difficulty, and instead begin to truly walk in the liberating fullness of it. That is when the assignment transforms you as much as you impact the assigned. And here's the part you probably didn't expect. the twist in the narrative that might just unlock everything, the genuine thing that has been blocking breakthrough, that has created an impenetrable